What's up, everybody? Welcome to Telltale, then, now, and forever. 10 years of amazing video games. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller. Beyond, thank you. I was going to say, man, I tell you what, I've been to a lot of conventions. I like this one the best because I don't have to explain who I am to anybody. You all know me, and you either tolerate me or despise me, which is great. Over here is an illustrious panel, ladies and gentlemen, of the people who make some of your favorite video games. There's a lot of you, Job. I don't know if you know that there's a lot of people here in your panel.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, there's not as many microphones.
No, very few microphones.
So you and I will share this one.
I think that's a good idea.
All right, so real quick, show of hands if you work for Telltale. Okay, no, you two don't, you do not. Okay, so down there, that's Rich. Wave to everybody, Rich. Everybody wave back to Rich. Yeah. From now on, we're going to move to clapping because it's weird when you wave. I apologize. That was a misstep on my part. I should have briefed you better on what to do. Rich, explain into the microphone down there. What do you do?
I'm the director of lies and falsehoods, known as marketing.
Ooh, boo and hiss them, everybody. You snake! Gamergate! I don't know how that figures into it. Job.
Yes.
You're Job.
That is me. I'm not Tim Schafer, by the way. I get that a lot.
Yeah, get out of here. Job, explain to everybody what you do. I've hosted panels before. You've never been on them. You're usually in the crowd, and then I make everybody boo you at some point.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on that.
Today we're gonna cheer you. Explain to everybody what you do.
So I'm the head of PR at Telltale. I work in the studio. Everything at Telltale is done really in one location in Marin County. Thank you.
Pull the trigger a bit early on when we're gonna cheer for him.
We work with the development team on all of our games and all of our titles, and I work pretty closely with Laura Perusco, who also heads up our community and PR as well.
Now y'all cheer for Job. No, don't wave. I said no more waving. Leave us and Nathan Drake to be the slow one over there. I don't know what's up. Now, Kevin.
Yes.
You're the last member of the Telltale family here to speak in terms of what you do and why your checks say Telltale. What do you do for Telltale?
I am the president and co-founder of
Holy cow, you're in the company of royalty. When this panel is done, you come up to him, ask him for his cell phone, text him game ideas every day. He'll love it. It's great. Now over here, rounding out the panel, two fabulously handsome and beautiful people. Beautiful woman number one, your name is Melissa. Yes. What do? You don't work at Telltale, so who are you?
I do games with them sometimes. And I'm actually, my name is Clementine in The Walking Dead.
Thank you.
Now you, sir, your name is Adam, and I'm assuming you're some kind of roadie?
Hilarious, Mundy. That's a tough act to follow. No, I'm Adam Harrington, voice actor. Probably know me best as Bigby and the Woodsman in The Wolf Among Us. Woo!
And I've run out of questions. No!
That's it, folks. Thanks.
Kevin, let's start with you. President and co-founder. Co-founder, you were one of the guys who laid the first brick in the Telltale legacy, that it has become this giant tower now of legacies. What does that mean? How did that happen? How do you found a video game developer? Where did you start with this?
I think most people know we're a LucasArts spin-out. So I was at LucasArts and I went to LucasArts to work on games like Grim Fandango and Monkey Island and some of the classic stuff there, which the Grim Fandango remake is on the floor. You should go and look at it. It's awesome.
At PlayStation Experience 2, they'll all have played Grim Fandango finally and be like, oh my
yes,
God!
Yes. And we did a bunch of Star Wars stuff, and that was awesome. But we really wanted to really get into the storytelling side, like the humor and the things that made all the adventure games great, and had been at Lucas for a long time, and just decided to strike out on our own to specifically focus on games based around narrative.
So, I mean, for you then, not even for you, what was the mission statement back then? When you guys leave, I assume you hatch this plan over some drinks and then go forward.
Yeah, I mean, how many people here are old adventure game fans? So there's okay. So Telltale is like Mecca for old adventure game fans. But if you're an old adventure game fan, like I was, and you really love the genre, you know what it's like to try to get one of your friends to play one of the old point-and-click adventure games. You get all enthusiastic. Like on Grimm, I tell everybody, it's like, it's my favorite thing I've ever done. I'm so proud of it. And they'd be like, well, what do you do? And I'd like fire it up, and you'd see this opening cutscene. And they're like, well, what do you do? And I'm like, click and explore around. And you click, and Manny would walk 2 feet, and then he'd stop and stare at you. And the genre that I love and that you guys love was pretty obtuse and pretty hard to get people into and kind of broken. So I think in the entire history of Telltale, we've had this kind of this chip on our shoulder about how do we modernize and fix adventure games? How do you make an adventure game a game of the year? I think when we started Telltale, if you said 2012's Game of the Year is going to be a point-and-click adventure game based off of a television show license that's a $5 downloadable thing, everyone would have said you're mad. But that's really what we started this. This was like how to reinvent the genre and kind of make it our own so that the things that we love, everybody could love.
So now, Job. Yes. How you doing?
Hey, buddy.
You're looking good over here.
Thanks. It's my birthday.
It's his birthday, everybody. There is a party in his suite tonight. You are all invited. Co-founder over here, president. Over here, PR flack man. But you've been there a while. And so how have you seen, especially recently, it feels like Telltale's turned a corner. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. No insulting what you used to do. It was crap. But I'm kidding. I'm kidding, everybody. But it seems like all of a sudden you're on this insane roll. Like, what has happened, I mean, from what you've been there? What has been, like, the thing that's really changed everything and gotten everything going?
I think one thing that really struck me when I've always been a huge fan of Telltale, for 10 years now. This is Telltale's 10th year anniversary, 2014, and big fan for a long time, big fan of Sam & Max. I was working for another game developer publisher, and I was the PlayStation panel, so I'll avoid other platform names. I just recently acquired a device that was playing Back to the Future, and it didn't have a controller on it, and I was really intrigued by that, and I was totally struck by how Telltale delivered the same experience in Back to the Future as it is on console or is on any other device, and I thought that was really, really promising to be sort of setting itself up to be everywhere and be ubiquitous, and no matter where you were or no matter which device you had, you could have the same game and the same experience. And I think that's been pretty critical for Telltale to be able to reach, a larger and larger audience. And I think that's been great on PlayStation platforms as well, on PS3 and 4, and Vita as well, which is great.
One Vita fan. Buy Freedom Wars, fight for the Panopticon.
I think that audience reach is a big part of it. But I think just 10 years of figuring out how to take the Hollywood-style approach to production and storytelling and make that interactive. I think that's really paid off for Telltale after a long time coming and a lot of practice. And just working on bigger and bigger brands and franchises that the team working on these projects are the biggest fans in the world. Like, we're the biggest fans of The Walking Dead. We're the biggest fans of Game of Thrones. We make those games because we love them to death and we want to be a part of them. So I think working on everything that we love and being everywhere and accessible has been part of the dream. And I think we're kind of getting there, and we're just trying to go further and further.
Yeah, and like it just.
What do you mean, kinda, Mundy?
It just reminded me, we're 3 episodes away from our 100th episode as a company, wow. And you learn a lot along the way. When you're trying to fix something, it's at this point we're relatively evolved, so it helps.
Adam, as an actor, what's it like to work on a Telltale game versus other games?
Well, I could go on for an hour, but essentially, I'm sure Melissa will agree with me that both of us do a ton of games for a ton of different developers, but we know when it's Telltale time, it's play time. Never feels like work. We know that the writing's going to be stellar. we're going to know that somebody actually thought this out and wrote it for the spoken word, which may sound like a given, and it ain't. So much planning, so much humor, so much thought, and I mean, above all, so much love goes into the characters that our work is so easy. By the time it gets to us, all we have to do is read it. But not only the Telltale team, but the fans. The cool thing about Telltale is they listen. Gavin Hammond and I, the voice of Kenny and Beast in Wolf Among Us and so many others. Hand for Gavin. We both go on the Telltale forums quite a bit and interact with the fans.
Oh, that's dangerous.
No,
what are you doing?
It's dangerous if you go on and aren't prepared, because these guys know their business. They know their voice actors. They know what they want. They know what they expect from Telltale. But the coolest thing is Telltale listens. I was even on the receiving end of being recast. I was recasting Earl Bowen as LeChuck in Tales of Monkey Island. The fans chimed in. They didn't like, it was almost like Darth Vader being replaced and having someone take over for James Earl Jones. That just ain't gonna fly. And to their credit, Telltale listened and said, all right, we have to do whatever we have to do to get Earl back. Yeah, it's like no other developer. I am most proud of the work I've done with Telltale. Absolutely, it's not even close.
So then, Melissa, when you went down this voice acting path, were you expecting to end up in games for huge franchises? And I'll leave it at that, but I mean like The Walking Dead, like Wolf Among Us, like all these different things that Telltale now does.
No. I'm done.
Done. Microphone down.
No. No, absolutely not. It's been cool though, because I think I've been on most games that you guys have done at this point. And it's been so cool to be on that journey, because I feel like it felt organic when you guys got The Walking Dead, or well, it started with Back to the Future, but then I guess Jurassic Park. Sorry, I'm taking it to the past, Job. I'm taking it to the past.
This is Telltale's. This is from the past to the future.
Yeah.
So you're doing fine. You're just going backwards in the timeline, which could confuse some people. We'll give her a chance. She's Clementine. Come on, people.
But it's so cool for me. I mean, I was already a huge fan of The Walking Dead. I had yet to read the comics, but I was already way into the show, so that was like a moment of getting those auditions, and I was just like, oh my God, I have to be on this game. And it worked out, thankfully. But it's really such a special thing to be part of these amazing franchises. Like, to be a part of the Walking Dead world, to be a part of Fables is like...
Awesome.
Yeah.
So then, Rich, and other Telltale, focals here, how do you guys go about finding franchises and I guess then partners, right? Because we're talking obviously about licenses, Back to the Future, Walking Dead, Game of Thrones now, but then there's also, you're working with other developers, which I find weird, but you do it all the time with like Valve, and then you pop around now for Tales of the Borderlands with Gearbox. How do those relationships begin?
I think it just cycles back to, stuff that we've already mentioned, which is we just work on stuff that we love. So with Borderlands, for example, myself and my boss, Steve Allison, we were playing Borderlands 2 non-stop at that point. And we just had an idea, we should work with these guys, because if you look at Borderlands and, people who play this game, they know it inside out, and they know that there is an opportunity to tell amazing, rich stories from that universe. And we saw that as well, and so we just talked to those guys and said, hey, is there something we could do together? And the relationship started, and it's become Tales from the Borderlands, which, I hope you guys like, but it's something that we're extremely proud of.
Well, of course you like it, Job. Don't clap for your own products. You're better than that. All right. So I guess then, Kevin, being president, co-founder, is there ever any kind of idea that's off limits? I mean, like, when he comes to you and he's like, we want to do something with Borderlands, you've got to be like, well, we're not a Twitch shooter with 1 million different gun combinations.
No, I don't think there's anything off limits. I think what we want to do is tell the best stories that we can. Like, it's almost like we consider ourselves like an interactive scripted drama company. And with Borderlands, we were all big fans of it. But when you talk with Matt and Anthony, you know, the Borderlands universe in their minds is as sophisticated as Star Wars. Like, they can just go on and on about the backstory, and there's so much interesting stuff that just they can't get on the table in the first-person shooter medium.
Yeah.
That it just felt really organic to explore that in other ways. So it really wasn't much of a stretch for us after talking with those guys to find the right kind of story to tell and the right kind of things to do on Pandora, and well, it's all in Tales of the Borderlands. So you can.
I think a lot of people see the light side of Pandora as well, and they don't see, you know, there's a lot of dark elements in Borderlands as well. When we had one of the first conversations with the Gearbox guys on the phone, you know, they were asking us what kind of direction we were going and what we were kind of thinking about doing. And I remember playing one particular mission. You guys might remember it as well. There's a place called Overlook, a village where everybody's kind of got a disease and they're all locked in, you know, inside their houses. You've got to go and fetch stuff and help them out. And if you're actually listening to kind of the Hyperion announcements that are going on the PA system in the village, it's really dark. It's like it's always delivered with kind of that element of humor, but it's also really dark as well. And that amazing kind of breadth of emotion and content that you find in Borderlands is definitely something that we hooked into, and I think that people are going to see a lot more of that as we go through Tales in the Borderlands.
All right, so Joe, Rich was playing Borderlands. That led to Tales from the Borderlands. What are you obsessed with right now that'll lead to your next project?
Well, I told Kevin, you know, hey, it was actually me. Like, you should probably look into this Game of Thrones thing. I think people are really into it.
I was
don't
like,
know.
what?
It took some convincing, but no. We're into so much right now. It's kind of crazy. Like, I think post Borderlands, just working with Gearbox and just having that on the. I think when we announced it, it was almost a year ago today at VGX. We announced both Game of Thrones and Tales from the Borderlands, and now we've just premiered both within 2 weeks of each other. And for Tales, I remember when we announced it, a lot of people were just like, wait, what? Like, how does that make any sense? So we knew we had to kind of get a little bit of that sort of like curiosity out of the way. We showed it at E3, and I think people came out of that just kind of, their minds were open, and they totally understood, oh, this is kind of just like the Borderlands TV show, but you can play it. And that's kind of been part of the germ of the dream for Telltale since the beginning. So for any developer and any other game franchise out there, I think the door's wide open in this other avenue where I think for 10 years it's been how can Telltale work with TV and how can Telltale work with, you know, comic books, but also other games and other game franchises. I think the door is most certainly wide open, and I don't think that, you know, Gearbox is going to be the last developer we'll work with.
That was good. I expected them to ooh a bit at that, but like, no, they don't care. Whatever. Ooh. Thank you. I should have prepped you before. Clap and stuff and yell and do things. You're here to entertain me as much as we're here to entertain you. All right, so yeah, I noticed something in there. You're talking about other developers, and that's got to be an easy sell. I mean, first off, developers pay attention to other developers. People know what Telltale's up against or what you guys have done, right? Episodic content, this is how we do it, take these breaks, do different seasons, so on and so forth. I guess for you, Kevin, did HBO get what you guys were talking to them about when you came in to talk about Game of Thrones?
Well, HBO is they're a fantastic partner, and we spent a lot of time with them, kind of getting them up to speed on what kind of Game of Thrones game we wanted to do and how we were going to work together. HBO is a real feather in our hat because, you know, they don't do a lot of licensed games. They are the peak of the mountain right now for scripted entertainment, premium scripted entertainment. They have the best writing, the best critical mass of content on TV, and they just don't work with very many partners. And to give us, Game of Thrones is the crown jewel. So it didn't happen quickly, but I think it's a real testament and a real point of pride for us that we can play in that league now, that we can go and hold our own with the show and with George R.R. Martin from the books, and like really first class scripted entertainment, not just from Telltale but for games in general. Sure. Like it is a new high watermark, not just for Telltale, but that this medium that we love is the future. It's as good of a way to experience a story as television or movies, and maybe even it can be made better than television or movies if you do it really well. And I think HBO is definitely on board with that now. Everybody at HBO definitely spent a lot of time looking at the content, making sure that we were doing the right thing, helping us out, which was awesome. But I think they're immensely proud, as we are, that we've achieved this, because nobody was taking it lightly. Nobody at HBO just wanted to do a licensed game to take advantage of Game of Thrones. You don't see Game of Thrones backpacks and coffee mugs and all kinds of crap.
You do see coffee mugs.
Oh, okay. But
you gotta go to Coffee Cup Emporium more often, man.
Nobody got me a Game of Thrones coffee cup, that's for sure. No, they've just been great to work with, and really hard earned for us. We're really proud of it.
So then, Job, we've talked a lot about Borderlands. We've talked a lot about Game of Thrones. We mentioned Back to the Future. We talked about The Walking Dead. Will Telltale ever have an original idea? You're all thinking it.
Poker night.
Poker night. That's what Adam comes back with.
Oh, geez. So I think the thing that's interesting about the projects we've had recently, if you look at Walking Dead, we're working with Skybound and Robert, and we're creating interactive stories that are built on the existing franchise of Walking Dead, and this is something that expands that universe. And same with Wolf Among Us. We're telling this backstory, this whole side of Bigby that hasn't been told, that part of the timeline. Game of Thrones, we're telling the story of the Foresters and House Forrester and how they're affected by, the fallout of the events at the end of season 3, kind of happening alongside the events of season 4. Tales from the Borderlands, we're telling a story with Gearbox that is happening after the events of Borderlands 2, and it's interesting to come in and work with different partners and different franchises and be able to add to these universes. But I think if we ever move into the space of creating original stories or original properties, I think it's going to be interesting to be possibly doing that where it's kind of built from the ground up, and maybe even interwoven with our version of interactive entertainment, and maybe something with scripted entertainment.
Yep. I think one of the things that we're not just a licensed game company. Like, we just don't take the IP, sign a contract, and go our own way with it. We always work really closely from day one with Steve Purcell, Jeff Smith, way back in the day, with Robert Kirkman and DA at Skybound, with Ty Frank and everybody at HBO, with Bob Gale on Back to the Future. Like, we're in the room with these people. They're contributing to the process. We're really collaborative, and we really get people who maybe don't have a lot of experience in games involved in what we do. So when we think about original IP as well, and having an original thought.
I'm joking.
Oh, I know. We do have lots of interesting conversations with our partners who, the idea of doing something from the ground up. So I think when you see something original from Telltale, there's the original, which is kind of like born from inside of Telltale, like Job and I sitting around saying, wouldn't it be great to do like a dancing fighting game? Or something that is maybe born from one of our creative partners that we work with. That's generally the direction. Like, we get really inspired by these are world-class people that we're working with, and they get excited by the medium as well. Yeah. So we're like, what if we did dancing and fighting, but maybe Gary Whitta could help us with it, or something like that. And that conversation happens.
Lightsabers on the shoes as they're
Gary
kicking
won't
things.
stop emailing about dancing and fighting. But
So dancing and fighting around specifics, yes. I think, yes, original content. is in the works and in the future for Telltale.
Can I add one thing to that?
No. Yes.
As a both a voice actor for Telltale and a fan, I of the many games I voice, I actually play the Telltale games, and I wasn't aware of this till about a month ago, that the new characters in Wolf Among Us that don't appear in Fables, Woodsman and some of the others, were created by Willingham himself, correct?
Yeah.
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 So-
Oh, I left Bob out of that list of. Sorry, Bob.
He's in the back and he's furious.
Single tier.
So that right there gives you guys original credit for me. That's all I wanted to say.
Again, I'm joking around about the non-original ideas. You have a
Yeah,
really
well,
original
quit your
ideas.
joking, Mundy.
But this is actually in interesting vein to go further with both of you, voice actor people. Melissa, what's it like to, I guess, in the history, again, we're doing the timeline of Telltale in front of us. You get the part, you know you're going to be Clem in the game, and basically you put it all together like, oh, well, this is an original character in the comic universe and this. What's that like to then where you are now, where everyone loves Clem and would kill everyone in this room for Clem?
It's such a phenomenal process. The whole process of becoming the character Clementine into where she's at now is just like, it's been so cool. I think Adam was saying earlier with Telltale Games, because they're episode based, we get to spend so much time with these characters, unlike other games where you go into a recording session, you shout out some quick lines, you
knock it all out
die
in 2
different
months
ways.
and you're done. You guys do it for your entire life.
And people are like, "Oh, were you on that game?" You're like, "I think so. Let me IMDb myself." I mean,
Yeah.
and like
Troy
this is,
Baker.
So it's just getting to know the character through the whole recording process is so. It's just, I can't go on about how, like he was saying as well, I'm a huge fan of the game. I can totally relate to the fans of the game because there is so much love that goes into it, and we really get attached to these characters and pray that they don't get bitten. I just thought I'd throw that out because I'm sitting next
Just
to
a
her.
reminder that people really like her, and so if I know there's a season 3 announced, so if anything bad happens to her, we know where you live.
No way.
No, but it's just, I don't know. I don't know if I'm. What's the question?
No, no. This is what I'm talking about. That I joke about. Oh, you guys don't do not original IPs. When really you're taking other IPs and making your own original worlds in it. And the thing I've talked about before and made Robert Kirkman cry with, of course, is the fact that I'm a huge Walking Dead fan and have been since graphic novel number 2 when a friend gave it to me in college, and The Walking Dead the game is the preferred method to connect with it. That's my preferred story, and it's because I own those characters, I know those characters, I live those relationships.
I go to a lot of conventions, so it's really cool because I get to obviously face-to-face meet people who play the game, and quite often, I mean, they love the comic book, of course, but I mean, more often than not, people are like, "Oh, I don't watch the show. I think it sucks." The game is actually my favorite avenue for The Walking Dead, and
I think that's
it's just
because
amazing.
they get to make the choices for these characters. They become more than invested in the characters. They become the characters in a way. And and when we spend literally months and months and months of time with these characters, we don't get to do that with other games. And when you get to the last episode, there's a lot of emotion. There's a famous clip of our friend Dave Fenoy shedding actual tears.
DaveFenoy.com!
See how I set you up there? And you're not going to find that in one of these bing, bang, boom, here, read as many characters as you can in 2 hours, write a check, and goodbye things. It's a different animal, and something that I hope the rest of the gaming community is watching and taking notes, but not copying too closely.
And one of the things that I think people don't realize is it's a two-way street that a lot of other games don't get to do. Since we develop in real time and we're writing and recording games as we go, it starts off with, hey, Melissa and Adam and Dave, here's a character profile and here's and start a portrayal of it. But it really quickly, like Melissa's portrayal of Clementine is Clementine. That is her work is as much of how the character is written and the ways that it's explored. You know, with Adam, with Bigby, it's the same thing. A couple episodes in, and what these guys are bringing to the table is as inspirational to us as they're trying to pull work out of the scripts if they were given like a whole game at a time, and it's hugely valuable for us to find really great people, really great actors to work with. We go through a lot of casting, and we're really careful about it. But without their talents kind of feeding back and inspiring us, I don't think Clementine or Lee or Bigby or any or Reese or any of the characters would be who they are. I mean, it's a two-way street, very much.
Speaking
Thanks,
of
boss.
two-way streets, Greg Way, this panel's a two-way street. So if you want to do some Q&A, you need to start lining up.
I was just
right
going to really
there,
quickly say, too, that's how I meant to answer my question, but Las Vegas attacked me last night. So I apologize.
Stop it.
No excuses, Clem.
I was going to say thank you. That's the problem, is that people, when they first meet you, oh, look at this beautiful woman, she's so nice, and she plays Clem. And then you meet you, and you find out what you're doing at night, and you're like, I don't want to think of Clem like that.
I said I was on my Twitter, and I think I cursed. I used foul language at one point, and someone actually got upset with me.
There's an amazing photo of Melissa.
I'm just hurt. Yeah.
With it's Adam, Troy Baker, Melissa, and Laura Bailey, Reese and Fiona, Tales from the Borderlands. And Melissa's got this giant bottle of Jack Daniels, like in the casino.
I wasn't drinking the Jack.
It was fantastic.
Yes, you was.
Sir in the blue shirt, kick it off.
Okay. I have a serious question and kind of a silly question that I just want to hear answered. All right, my first question is, what can fans of The Walking Dead kind of, without spoiling too much, expect in Season 3?
I literally don't need a microphone for this. I know nothing.
Nobody wants to field that question.
Emotions.
We are just kicking
All the
around
feels.
ideas for Season 3 right now, and spending some time with Robert, and this is kind of the cadence that we work at. So I'd expect, more horribleness, more terrible dread. If you really like feeling terrible, we'll deliver more of that.
Can they expect walkers and the undead?
Probably, yes.
Can they expect deep emotional connections to the characters they have agency over controlling the story of?
We will try our best.
Can they expect Andy St. John to come back and make a reappearance?
And they're going to ask it since we're all up here, and you don't have to answer, but can they expect Clementine?
I can't really say right now today.
You should answer that one.
Whether they should expect Clementine or not.
Yeah, we don't know. We know you can expect it. You can expect news on it sometime in 2015. We don't know when it will premiere, but we're working really hard on it, and we want it to be special. So stay tuned to our site. Stay tuned to Twitter. We'll have news on it soon.
Awesome. And no pressure. I expect a pretty good game, you guys, so no
thank
pressure. And my silly question's to Melissa. And did you lick the salt lick?
I don't know.
Oh. Thank you. Thank you.
Next year, the panel just needs to be Melissa just talking in Clem's voice for an hour. It's all you people want. Sir, over here.
I had something to say real quick, and I also had a question. Melissa, I was playing episode 5 of season 1 of The Walking Dead. I won't spoil it for anybody because you haven't played it. And I was crying like a little girl. And my buddy, you're manlier than me. So my buddy came downstairs and he looked at me and he's like, "What are you doing?" I went, "Get the fuck away from me. Go away right now." Crying like a little girl. And I wanted to say, very few games have ever done that one to me. And also, I wanted to ask you guys how you, what your process is for decision making. Because in games like Mass Effect, if you're trying to be a good guy, all you got to do is just keep kicking the good guy option. In games like The Walking Dead, sometimes that can be difficult. And what is the process of making those decisions?
I'll just say real fast. I'm not going to field that one so much, but thank you. That's the highest compliment. I was crying like a grown-up woman in the studio, playing a little girl. So thank you.
Crying like a genderless human being, showing emotions.
When we decide on how to make choices, we have a different philosophy, I think, than a lot of other companies that make games that feature choices, which we don't really care so much about kind of the flowchart. Like Season 1 didn't have a lot of branching in it. Season 2 had 5 endings.
It's less flowchart, more field chart.
Yeah. We look for messy decisions. Like I like to call them lose-lose. It's like we like to be able to give you something you want, but we always try to make it cost something. So you can protect Clementine, but you're going to have to do something that you'll regret. So we like really messy decisions, and a lot of it just happens in the moment when we get in the writing, when we see the art, when we hear the music. There comes a moment where you're like, man, it would just be great to do this thing, and it's really organic at Telltale. There's a lot of iteration. We play our games on paper as scripts extensively before we actually start putting picture to it.
About that, something that was really cool for me, I was super fortunate enough to be the first person in the world to play Game of Thrones, but it was on paper. And we did it in the room. We had the production team and everyone in the room gathered around the table, and it's kind of D&D style. So everyone will have the script or an iPad or a other device that is not Sony's.
Avita.
Yes, Avita, and then we'll read through the script, and everyone will take a role, just to fill in. Like Rich, I think, was Sir Royland.
I think at this point I'm pretty much Telltale's stunned English voice
Yes.
for everything.
Shoot
Has
that
actually,
one.
Who's played Game of Thrones? So
It's just out.
the gentleman being tortured by Ramsay.
It's my favorite scene.
Vote for next year's Game Awards right now. Rich from Telltale, guy being filleted.
But one of my favorite moments because we play them on paper and then we start bolting them together and we get the voice acting. In Season 1, Episode 3, where Duck is bitten and they got to take him into the woods, and there's all the different ways that you can deal with Duck. Job was one of the first guys in the office who looked at the build, and so he's in there playing it, and then it's about done. And we knock on his door, and we're like, "So Job, what do you think of it?" And he's like, "I think it's going to be really good."
It's intense.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But no, yeah, it's a lot of fun, and doing the table reads and the early play tests are great. And for Thrones, talking to Cersei for the first time, walking into the throne room, and then having to try and say just the right things to not set her off, yet also, try and play it cool and try and please the Queen Regent was insanely difficult, and it's just so much fun at Telltale. Anytime there's an episode, we'll all get together and we'll all feel it out. So.
But we just don't think like playing the good guy or the bad guy, or like we did a lot of that when we were working at Lucas. There's lots of light side, dark side stuff with the Force and being a Jedi, and it gets really mechanical. It becomes more like a dice game, and we just find the messy stuff far more interesting, and that's where we spend all of our energy.
Just wanted to clarify, I was saying your S's is better than Mass Effect's and the rest. Just wanted to make sure you knew that.
It's all good. We're just different.
I'll say that.
Me too. Thank you.
It's better than like Infamous, right? Well, I know this is my good playthrough. This is my bad playthrough. Now I can be totally down with Kenny and then blow him away at the end. You, sir.
Well, first I want to thank you all for all of your hard work. I really appreciate it. I love your stories. They're amazing.
Thank you for playing.
So yeah, my question is for everybody. You've talked about all these great franchises that you guys have done so far, but what is each of you your ideal franchise that you would like to be told in the Telltale fashion? That's not done yet.
We get asked that a lot. It's super hard for us to answer that publicly, because then if we ever we want to do it, or maybe something's in the works, it's really tough to let on. I know Rich can say, I think the first year I landed here, I know for sure, as we were getting rolling on Walking Dead, he was really, guys, we have to let's seriously think about Game of Thrones. Let's talk to HBO. And that's a prime example of something, at least since I've been around, of, you know, what in our wildest dreams, what could we work on? It was Game of Thrones. Before that, it was Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us. And before that, it was Back to the Future. And before that, even 10 years ago, it was Sam and Max and Bone. And, you know, it's, you know, to ask us what is our dream project is a little bit like asking us what are you going to do next. So we'll see.
I can answer that.
So you're saying
Breaking Bad, the game. Yeah.
This will probably never get made by them, so I'm just gonna say the Goonies.
And I answered that question on a Reddit AMA like a year ago, and it caused a complete shitstorm for us. So I have to refrain from answering that question.
All right, sorry I asked.
The answer, of course, is Superman. You guys could be the first amazing Superman game of all time because you don't have to worry about the action. Thank you. You put the check in my pocket later.
Thanks.
You, sir.
Hey, first of all, I want to thank you guys. You guys all do great work. Dave Fennoy for Ezekiel.
Yes.
Let's hope
Yes.
I just want to put this highly debated controversy to rest. For each of you, Kenny, yay or nay, why or why not? Do you like him? Do you not like him?
I go with Kenny all the way. Past Wellington. I mean, we go, you know. But I'm such good friends with Gavin, and we've worked together for so long, and we're just in life actual friends. So it's hard for me to. I played it with somebody, and I just kept my mouth closed, and I kind of understood why they put him down, but I'm all the way.
Yeah, Gavin would stop inviting us over for pizza if we said no.
Very true.
I think right from that first moment in Everett's store with Kenny for me, he was my bro all the way through. So.
I'm Team Kenny, but I'm from Florida. So.
I am all for an independent clam that doesn't need anyone else. Sorry, it's there. Next question.
Start texting Gavin now.
Out of all y'all 6, how many of you killed Lee?
What was it again?
Who killed Lee?
Oh,
yeah. You don't want him coming
yeah,
back.
I can't see. I got 2 over here and 2 over. So 4 out of the 6.
Yeah,
I killed Lee. I didn't want him to be chained
spoilers, man.
Oh.
If you guys haven't played season 1 yet, come on.
Kenny question.
Yeah, come on.
Without going into specifics, yes. Yes.
That's a hard question to answer because I feel like in creating the series, we all love Lee to death, and I feel like we all had to kill Lee.
Broke my heart.
From in the room with the designers and the writers, figuring out how to make that happen was heartbreaking as well. I think we all mourn Lee, not just as gamers, but as kind of the people who saw him sprout from nothing to become this character that we really loved, and then his legacy is so Lee's a loss for all of us.
It's particularly weird just to be friends with Dave and just see him on Twitter and then Facebook, and then I'll see like him posting, hanging out in his yard, just drinking a beer, having a barbecue, and I'm just, oh right, you're fine, like you're okay. That's right, everything is okay. So yeah.
You, sir.
Adam mentioned that Telltale's really great about listening to the fans. Using that, when you guys start a season, do you kind of have the whole season mapped out, or do you kind of listen to how people are responding after like episode 1, episode 2 to frame the rest of the season?
Both, really. The best laid plans are filled with good intentions. So we break the season with a writing room, a writing conference, that we invite the most talented people who will entertain the possibility of spending time with us for like this couple of weeks of really intense story breaking. And then we use that as a template going forward. One of the really special things about what we do is all of you guys really do participate in the creative whether you know it or not. We gather the telemetry data of every choice that's on screen and how long it takes people to choose and all of that, and that really guides our process going forward. So I'll say certainly the details of a season vary dramatically from what comes out of that first couple of weeks of a writing conference, and very probably like 50-50. The way that the season ends is predetermined. Like we knew what was going to happen to Lee at the very end, or at the very beginning. Like we just made a decision that we were going to do this, but we let the story. We try to get as grounded and as informed as we can at the beginning, but then we pay really careful attention to how well we're executing that, because everything doesn't turn out great all the time, but then we pay an awful lot of attention to how people are playing. We have kind of the hard data, and then we look at forms, we look at editorial, all of that stuff to help us craft a better experience. So it wouldn't be the game without you guys playing it and us developing it in real time. That's one of the hardest things that we do, is we don't make 6 episodes and then release them. We are making Game of Thrones right now, and we are making Borderlands right now, and what you guys are doing this week is affecting the way that we're crafting the story going forward.
Great, thank you.
Greg. Greg, have you ever eaten at a fast food restaurant called Raising Cane's?
Raising Cane's?
Yes.
No, I have not.
You must. It's in Las Vegas. Best chicken strips in the industry. Best sauce. It's not in California.
All right, I got to go, guys.
Also, Telltale, because of your close relationship with HBO, would you rather do a Sopranos or The Wire game?
Ooh. I think we would rather not say anything. I think we would like to continue working on our Game of Thrones series with HBO. People kind of forget, when we announced that last year, it's a multi-title, multi-year partnership we have with them. So that's something we're hopeful and looking forward to working with them for a long time. So nothing to announce, but let's focus on Game of Thrones for now. So.
Thank you.
But what about Newsroom? Now that's wrapping up this season. You could do a whole digital thing afterwards.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say thank you again for all y'all's hard work on the games and everything y'all do. And for Telltale, despite what the internet says, I enjoyed Jurassic Park. It was good.
You're allowed to have bad taste. It doesn't matter.
So my question is, I'm a Vita advocate. I love it. It's a great system. I'm glad that y'all made the choice to bring y'all's games over. But what is y'all's decision as far as like Game of Thrones, since that being a next-gen, new or current-gen title, how are y'all thinking about maybe bringing that to Vita, or just maybe stopping with, I don't know if y'all gonna do Borderlands either. Just what's y'all's kind of like development cycle with that?
You mean to bring the titles to additional platforms, or?
Well, like with Game of Thrones, it is only on current gen, correct?
We announced at E3 this year, Tales will be coming to Vita at some point. We don't have a date yet. We haven't made any announcements for Game of Thrones at this time, as PR folks like to say a lot. We're adding all the platforms together right now. What's super interesting is, you look at something like Walking Dead, between all the consoles and the PC and everything we have going on for mobile. Particularly like with Android-based devices and iOS. Sorry, Sony. We're on over 6,000 different devices. We're everywhere. We love the PlayStation platforms. We love working with those guys. No announcements yet for Vita or at this time, but stay tuned. We're doing a lot. We love the platform, and just stay tuned. All right, cool. Say that.
Hi, I'd like to ask a question from the. I just wanted to know, like, who's your favorite voice actor / biz guy in the game industry? Just curious.
I'd have to say, can I get this one? There's someone who I've loved and respected for a long time.
Oh my!
He's a tower of a man. He's David Eddings, the voice of Claptrap from Gearbox Software.
Hey everybody,
there.
I'm David Eddings, voice of Claptrap from Gearbox
Claptrap.
Software. How you doing? How you doing? I really just wanted to come up here and just say how much we love working with these guys. You know, it was actually Richard and I that came up with the idea for Tales from the Borderlands and put the deal together with Steve Allison, where is Steve, by the way? Where is Steve?
He's eating chicken wings at home.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
All right, right on. And everybody knows it's Job's birthday, too, right?
Oh, come on.
Is that right? Does everybody
I
know
believe
that?
so.
I wasn't here earlier. I don't know. I just came in. But these guys are the best guys to work with. It's amazing. They've been fantastic. And we love what they've done with Tales from the Borderlands. They even did an Alamo Draft House showing in Dallas. And it was one of the funniest things that we've ever been to.
Thank you.
And
Also,
Poker Night.
What's that?
Poker Night.
Oh, and Poker Night 2 at the inventory. Again, that's where the voice actor thing came
Whatever
in, right?
happened with that GLaDOS gal you were hooking up with there?
You know what? My kids totally loved the nice big painting that you guys sent my way. And I actually got a chance to meet Ella McLean, and she sent my kids a voicemail message of greetings as GLaDOS. So if it hadn't have been for you guys, that would have never happened. So thank you very much. I didn't really have a real question. Just wanted to come up here and just give some praise. So.
Can we have a hug?
Yeah, I would love to give each and every one of you a hug.
Clem just hugged a robot.
And by the way, I get to hug Hugh Jackman.
The secret's out.
You genderless form I don't know over here.
Yes. Well, you were talking about the creation process between voice acting and script writing being a two-way street. But because the dialogue choices are so important for the storyline, is there any room when you're actually reading the dialogue for improvisation? And if so, has it informed any future choices or stories?
You know, the cool thing about these scripts and the writing is they have it pretty much nailed down, locked in. I mean, honestly, I don't really think I've ever done much improv in any of the sessions myself, because it's just, everything is so thought out, every line is so thought out that we don't have to do that, which is very cool, because sometimes, I mean, it's fun to do improv. Sometimes you go into sessions and, like, I don't know, well, just do a few takes of what you think might, blah, 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 you know, but this is, it's just seriously locked in, so we don't, I don't know about.
Well, I mean, maybe when it comes to a couple of words here or there, or if every once in a while Julian or one of the writers, Pierre or Ryan, if we come up with something that makes them laugh, they keep it, and I'd say 1 out of every 5 times or so they'll actually use it. But yeah, Melissa's right. The writing is so thorough, and the character development is so perfect that we don't have to improv. For instance, I did a gig this week for a client that will remain nameless, that we essentially have to write the game for them in the session. And we don't get any writing credits, and it's hard work. And again, with Telltale, the work is done for us. These characters exist, man. We just have to give them a voice. So improv is a nice skill to have in voice acting, but as a voice actor, it's nice not to have to do it sometimes. We don't with these guys.
You, sir, in this fabulous shirt that you can get at kindafunny.com/store.
Thank you. Beyond.
Beyond.
All right.
The Beyonds are getting sober at this point.
Beyond.
There you go. You guys were talking a little bit earlier about how, in some ways, you enhance a universe that's already there by including drama and character development. Just exactly how much freedom do the Game of Thrones people, the Walking Dead people, and Fables people, and all them? How much freedom do they give you to do what you want to do in that universe?
It differs with each partner. Generally, as you can tell with our games, people give us quite a bit of freedom. We you know, we like interacting with the touch points that people know and love about the shows, the worlds that we're bringing into. But we also, to do what we do, we need to introduce original characters. And it'd be hard to do a Walking Dead game about Rick Grimes because everyone knows what happens to Rick Grimes, right? So we need possibility space that is unknown, and that is a huge, it's a huge amount of trust developed between our creative staff and the creative staff of the shows and the IPs that we work with. And that is actually probably one of the most precious and important things to us to be able to do what we do, is to stay credible with our writers and designers and directors and cinematographers in-house, that they are respected. It's a two-way street, that we respect each other, and that's how we earn the latitude and the freedom that they give us. But certainly, none of the partners take it lightly. Nobody ever gives us free rein. It's like, oh yeah, sure, just go make whatever Back to the Future thing you want to make. And I don't think we would want that either. We value too greatly, like HBO knows what, HBO and George R.R. Martin know what Game of Thrones is. And we try to think we get it, but we are never so presumptuous that we think we get it so thoroughly that we don't need input from them, that we wouldn't want to interact with them. So that's just kind of our style. We value them as partners. We like their input. We want time with them. And developing trust is hugely important.
Thank you.
You, sir.
Hi, everyone. Earlier was talked about the LucasArts origins or roots of Telltale Games. And in terms of LucasArts, one of my absolutely favorite adventure games was Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis.
Where Barwood.
Fantastic story, humor, character interaction. Way, way better than the last Indiana Jones movie we actually had. And so my question is, have you folks ever considered modernizing the original game for current systems and audiences, or perhaps even better, new adventures in the Indiana Jones universe?
We are big Indiana Jones fans. We have a lot of people who worked on various indie games at Lucas. You know, I think, if I think about it, I think we could make a pretty awesome indie game. We could make a pretty awesome indie game. But it's... but it's not something we really thought of. I don't think you'll see us doing like remasters or remakes of things. That's not really kind of what we're about.
To be fair, Hal's original games are really, really good. So I think even trying to beat something like that is a tall order. I know that Telltale, you know, any Monkey Island fans, you want to play Monkey Island? Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of the thing too. Is like Telltale taking on Monkey Island, you know, a few years back and doing something original. That was really cool. But you know, it's nothing is out of the possibility space. But there's nothing to announce. The problem is we're excited by everything. We love every franchise that you guys do. We love, you know, watching movies and playing games and reading comics, and we. Frankly, you know, if we're ever not on time, it's probably because we're busy doing those things and just taking it all in, and trying to really, you know, be a part of it and bring you into that space to be a part of it too, and help tell a Telltale story just by playing it. So there's so much that we'd love to do, and for right now, I think we're going to be focusing on Borderlands, Game of Thrones. There's another Walking Dead. There's another Walking Dead on the way, and more projects, maybe some with other developers, and maybe some that are completely new. So,
thank you.
You're allowed to clap for that, yes. There's a lot left in that Indiana Jones. I want to know what happened to Shia LaBeouf's character, though. You could craft a tale about that. You, sir, get the honor of being the final question.
Fantastic. One of the best things about Telltale Games is that you craft your own character. So, for example, my Bigby Wolf was very different from my friend's Bigby Wolf and my wife's Bigby Wolf. How is that as a voice actor when you don't get to become one character? You have to become potentially 3, 4, 5, 6 different characters, either a gentle Bigby or a fierce Bigby.
Well, try it when you have to be the woodsman, too. Oddly enough, it's funny. I was showing a friend of mine the game last weekend, And I had explained to her, and it's maybe some psychological thing, but I chose silence, I think, more than anybody I've ever seen do any walkthrough. Yeah, it is certainly a challenge. I think we worked really hard on that in the first episode. A lot of it is, just to add to what Kevin and Job were saying, is we want to make sure that the authors are happy with our work. Almost as important as you guys are, these are these guys' babies. And so we want to get it right. So, Bigby, if you're a Fables fan, he's not going to get too, emotional or cute and cuddly. It's just not in his nature. However, the Telltale tool, you're looking for drastic choices. So it is a real fine line. There's a lot of nuance. And I certainly couldn't figure that out myself. That's why we needed the team. That's why we needed Bill's input. I will say that the proudest moment of my career was a tweet from Bill Willingham just a few months before the last episode, essentially saying, I didn't know what Bigby sounded like until I heard Harrington VO, and now it's a lock. And I rarely, get sort of fanboyed out, but boy, that was big. And again, it ain't all me. There's a reason why Bill was happy. It's hard. It's not easy, but it's fun, and it's a challenge.
I was going to kind of add to that too. When we're physically in the studio, it's not like we do the whole episode. It's all right. This is going to be Clem on her best behavior, being nice. This is going to be the sassy Clem. This is going to be the It's really cool because when we're recording it, we do the same line, or the choice. We record the choices like right with each other. So as an actor, it's such a fun thing to do. A lot of people would think that would be difficult, but it's a really cool workout as an actor to be able to immediately go into these different levels of emotions.
It's a challenge. We like a challenge.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, before you go, could I have 20 seconds? Shh.
Yeah.
Guys, can you do me a favor? It is Joe's birthday. Can you join me and sing happy birthday to him? Here we go. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Job. Happy birthday to you.
And many more.
Thank you. Thank you. That was awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is your Telltale Games panel, then, now, and forever. One more round of applause for these people. They make you find games.
PlayStation